Boom.
Boom.
South Beach, bringing the heat.
That's what,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you want to see. There's another Will Smith reference going on.
And welcome back. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience. Together we are on a mission of Dynasty domination.
Hell yeah.
One daydream at a time. I'm here with the gurus. How you doing, boys?
Pretty good.
Phenomenal, man. Football action is nonstop.
It's non-stop in the RDR universe, man. And this week, we talked a little bit about what was coming up. The Combine. The Combine is passed, so we're going to do some risers, fallers, some reactions, some attractions. But before we do that, we got a little news, a little franchise tag news. So I'm going to kick it over to Christian, and then we'll get into the Combine. Let's go.
Yeah, so like you said it, the most exciting thing that happened this week for us is definitely the Combine, but there is some big stuff that went down involving franchise tags. So, just starting it off real quick, we'll go through these. Saquon Barkley got franchise tagged while Daniel Jones signed an extension. Pretty hefty extension for the lad. So good on you, Daniel Jones, earning that contract in the final year. Hopefully they can get a long-term deal with Saquon worked out. He has also earned a big-time payday. Another running back getting tagged was Tony Pollard down in Dallas, which was kind of in the rumor mill and pretty interesting. We'll see what they decide to do with Zeke. Like we had been saying, Josh Jacobs also got tagged. It just made too much sense to keep him there. And another guy that made too much sense to keep, Evan Ingram, with Jacksonville. He also got franchise tag. We were all kind of already talking about that they both wanted that relationship to keep going. So the franchise tag here makes sense. And the biggest news is that Lamar Jackson got the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means teams can talk to him and negotiate a contract, and then the Ravens will have the opportunity to match. Obviously, you probably already know about that. It's huge news, and we'll see what happens with that. But those are the guys. So there go your list of free agents. These guys are not moving teams unless they get traded now. So pretty big deal.
Man, that was pretty exciting. I didn't see that Pollard thing coming. But hey, whatever. Everyone
It's
else
interesting.
did.
Leaves Dalton Schultz out there.
Yeah,
Jake Ferguson. Let's go.
that's funny. Yeah, man, the Combine was really pretty awesome. I really enjoyed watching it. So I guess without any further ado, should we get into our risers and fallers?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. Do you want to take it first, or I can? However we want to do this.
I'll jump in, man.
All right.
I'll do a running back. Evan Hall out of Northwestern is the guy that I was speaking about last week on the podcast when I was talking about rankings and kind of a guy that wasn't on anyone else's list. And I loved what I saw from this guy, right? This isn't the one you're going to read about if you're like reading a Combine recap, but if you watch the running back drills, you'll know that the commentators were literally laughing at this guy pretty much the entire Combine. And why? Why would they laugh at one of the participants? Well, because he took everything to the house. Like, he was running his 40 and he ran it 100 all the way through the end zone. Every drill, he took every drill to the end zone. He just ran all the way through the goal line every time he was actively doing anything. And it was kind of nuts. But at the same time, I'm adding this to the excitement that I saw him play with on tape, and it made me happy. So, in addition to doing that, he also ended up above average in all the measurables. He was top 7 in 40, broad jump, and vert. And he was the only running back that did every drill. So yeah, and plus he was running basically all day. So I don't know. He was he was top two in reps for the bench for the running back. So he showed a lot of strength, but mostly he showed a lot of heart, man. Honestly,
Hmm.
like just going out there doing every drill just because like you're there to do it
Yeah.
completely, and you show that the way you run everything to the house. It just kind of made it look like this is one of those guys that's not going to give up on
Yeah.
his opportunity in the NFL. You know, he's going to fight his way on the field, even if he's not the most talented guy. So I just liked that. It made me happy.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it was fun. I think because they had like little trackers that
Hmm.
were tracking like how far they went, and he was like almost at 300 yards or some crap, and everybody else was like barely at 100 or
Hmm.
something. I don't know. The numbers are probably off, but I do remember them talking about that now. Yeah, man, showed a lot of heart. I'm gonna stick it in the running back room as well. I think this is a strong running back class. There's a lot of cool names. One that just kept popping off the screen was Chase Brown out of Illinois. He's 5'9.5", 209 pounds, so good size on him. 4.43 on the 40 puts him in the 92nd percentile for that for running backs. 40-inch vert and a 10-foot 7-inch broad jump that landed him a 95th percentile burst score on Player Profiler. Like, we like that over here. He was
Hmm.
also the fourth most athletic tight end per NFL, or not tight end, most athletic running back, excuse me, per NFL.com through their tracking of it, which was just came out of nowhere. Kid ran for 1,600 yards this season, 10 touchdowns, is a pretty good weapon in the receiving game, 240 yards. He just looks really, really good. He's a little on the short side, but he's still got good size, and he looks like I think he's going to be able to be used in the receiving game. Honestly, he reminded me of a like slightly bigger, more explosive Danny Woodhead. And I don't mean that in like a shitty way, like some people might. Like Danny Woodhead's a good player. And especially in PPR formats, if you could add like no shit home run ability to Danny Woodhead with a little more size, and Chase Brown can break these arm tackles. He does it all the time on tape. I think he could be legit dangerous in PPR formats with the right team.
Yeah, we've all seen him with the Fighting Illini putting down some work. I love it. Yeah, he's obviously impressive. But I'm going to slip into the depressive.
Okay.
I have a dropper here. Jordan Addison, man.
Mm.
And I'm gonna keep it pretty light on who Jordan Addison is. You know, we're about to do our bracket coming up next week.
Hmm.
So we're gonna get in the weeds with these guys to the nitty gritty. But gosh, Jordan, I gotta say, yeah, 173 pounds, and you're barely cracking 4.5 40. Gotta be a little bit of a head scratcher. You know, you're
Hmm.
20th in the class for wide receivers, a 69th percentile 40, and the vert, the broad jump. You're in the middle of the pack of like the 30s as far as ranked within this group. I just I want to see something else from you, man. Don't get me wrong. I know his game is about the route running, and there's no test
Hmm.
for that. But when it comes to being a smaller framed wide receiver, I need to see speed or athleticism or something that's going to help you overcome that disadvantage at the next level. And I didn't see that. And
Hmm.
so I'm kind of worried that that might impact his NFL draft capital.
Yeah.
And I think that when you start to slide in the NFL draft, those later first round wide receivers aren't really surefire, you know, even if they were Blitnikoff winners or
Hmm.
whatever. He went from Pitt kicking ass to USC where he didn't have that great of a season. So I'm just kind of worried. I'm just a little concerned about him.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah, we did our wide receiver rankings a couple weeks ago or last week. I can't remember now. It's all blur, but he was my number one receiver, and it's probably going to knock him off that spot. This combine results for sure. It's not really just like you're saying, somebody with that frame, you'd like to see him get a little faster. Now, like you alluded to, it is his route running and separation is his like X factor. So doesn't necessarily hurt him, but it doesn't help him. That's for sure.
Yeah, man, I think I read too much into the combine. I want to feel sure about things, and that
Hmm.
he did not give that to me.
I'm right there with you and going right into one of my disappointments. I didn't have a ton. I try not to look for disappointments, but right there with you. I feel like I had some questions about a guy in Roshan Johnson out of Texas. I had some questions about him. Obviously, he was Bijan's backup and he had good production whenever Bijan wasn't there. And so you wanted to see like what kind of scores he had. A 4.58
Hmm.
it's not terrible. 31.5 inch vert isn't great. 10 foot 2 inch broad isn't terrible. 29th percentile burst score isn't what I want to see. Like none of this is a death sentence. It's honestly it's similar scores to Damian Pierce from last year. I mean,
Yeah.
Damian Pierce was a little bigger and had a little bit more burst to him, but like just for right now, like I'm really trying to not let the combine weigh too heavy because I feel like it has ever since we started doing this podcast.
Hmm.
But Roshan Johnson's giving me really, really big Brian Robinson vibes right now. And I feel fairly apathetic towards him right now. Like if he lands in the right spot where it makes a lot of sense, like he could move back up. But for right now, Roshan's kind of like I just think there's more interesting, higher upside guys. Honestly, like a Chase Brown, where Roshan Johnson's still like, if you look at mock drafts, obviously they haven't happened, but he's still like towards the end of the first, front of the second, and some of them. And like, I'd rather get Chase Brown later on if that's where he ends up. I don't know. Obviously, we got to see where they land, but it didn't get me really excited for Roshan. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a landing spot dependent. I think he always kind of has
Hmm.
been. You think of like Algier, where you're like, oh, you can see it happening. Say he ends up in like Chicago or something, where
Hmm.
it's like, oh, he's going to be on the field. He
Yeah.
has a chance to prove something. But so I'm there with you. I'm going to get into Will Levis.
Okay.
I'm going to say that he solidified, but did not gain.
Hmm.
So neutral. Basically, what I'm saying is, I don't know. He looked very calm in the drills, and
Hmm.
he threw a really nice ball. Like it was
Hmm.
just one of the nicer balls I think I saw at the whole combine. The way he threw, and that was all he had to gain because he only did the vert and the broad jump, and he had plus results on both, but he wasn't out there. Obviously, the show was stolen by another quarterback in the measurable
Hmm.
drills. So I don't really have anything groundbreaking to say except that he looked like the kind of guy who could lead an NFL franchise. Like his composure was what I saw, and I had a couple of skeptical feelings towards him because the last 2 years he had 43 touchdowns and 23 interceptions. And I was a little shocked by the poise. When you think of those numbers, you don't
Hmm.
think a guy's going to go out there and just look, he looked like someone like dropped him off out the side of the field and he got out and threw a couple of fucking zingers and then got back in the limo and drove off, man. Like he looked like he was ready to roll, but he didn't do anything to me to think he's going to crack the top two quarterbacks in this class, which
Hmm.
I know there was a lot of talk before the combine about that.
Yeah.
And people talk, but I
Hmm.
wanted to, he didn't, yeah, solidified but didn't gain. I'm going to leave it at
Okay.
that.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I think he looked good. Obviously, Anthony Richards stole the show, but he has his own issues. And then I think CJ Stroud looked phenomenal, to be honest. So, but yeah, I think third is really good in super flex formats. And if you want to take the chance on like a high upside pick in Richardson, somebody like if they could develop him, maybe you go there. But Levis is looking all right. Um, I'll go. I'll do a guy who also like didn't I don't know, like it. I'm glad he did what he did, but he didn't like separate himself necessarily. That's Luke Musgraves, tight end, Oregon State. Um, 4.61 40. That's good speed for him. He's at 6'6", 88th percentile, so that's pretty good. 87th percentile burst, also very good. He was the fourth ranked tight end athletically by NFL.com. But for me, this whole process is just seeing explosiveness out of him, seeing the knee that took him out of this last season. Like, it looks good. To me, I think he's proven he's back, and I think a team could get intrigued. The problem is, like, he didn't have that crazy of production. He was always kind of this like idea of a highly productive tight end. He only had 304 career high yards and only one touchdown that season. And so, like, while it's awesome that he looks good and he looks healthy, and I'm happy, I think the tight end class as a whole did so well this week that, like, I feel like he kind of still got lost in the shuffle a little bit. Like, he didn't look crazy, like, that much better than anybody else. He was right up there with the most athletic guys, but like with no production, still coming off that knee injury with these other guys. One we'll get into later. I think two we'll get into later. Like, they look so good, kind of, that I think it kind of devalues him. But it ultimately, I just wanted to throw him in here because he looked good, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to change up my order a little bit to jump into Michael Meyer because I feel like
Okay.
he's right there with what you're saying. I think the way I kind of summarize what I think you're saying about Musgraves is kind of Michael Myers stood still while other folks took a step forward. Is
Yeah.
basically how I have it reading for him, and and when you look at it, I don't think he had a lot to prove because of the extremely high production he had at Notre Dame. 3 years, just highly productive. But I don't think he impressed anyone with his 4.740. He's only 250, so you're kind of hoping he's a little quicker than that. But his numbers weren't horrible. He just got. I mean, there's a couple of guys that blew him away as far as like the measurables, especially. I mean, shit, you guys know who these guys are. So I think the thing with him is that he might have jeopardized his tight end one status that he seemed to have like locked in going into the combine. Now some of these other guys are getting a lot more attention, but you can't deny. I mean, 3 years, 18 touchdowns, and 2,000 yards for a tight end is. I mean, that's extremely high caliber. So yeah, not really. He didn't lose anything, but some other folks might have gained in his territory that he was a standalone member of previously.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's hard to argue with production. That's where, like, combine and production start to kind of come to a head because like you're saying, he was so highly productive. But yeah, he didn't really stand out. So it's going to be interesting to see if that does kind of hurt his stock at all. Um, a tight end who did just absolutely crutch it and come out of nowhere. Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion came out of nowhere during the combine. First of all, I appreciate the K at the end of Zach. I feel like we get a lot of ZACHs these days, so it's nice to see a ZACK. So that's fun. But the dude's 6'7", 255 pounds, and he ran a 4.5540, which put him in the 95th percentile for tight ends. He's in the 98th percentile for burst score for tight ends with a 40-inch vert, which is insane, and a 10-inch, or sorry, 10-inch broad jump. That would be bad. A 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, which is also incredible. Here's one of the biggest factors for me for him. He's a huge dude that can move, which doesn't really make sense. His catch radius is in the 100th percentile for tight ends. He's got 34-inch arms with that 6'7" frame. 34-inch arms is higher than Roschon Johnson's vert. His arms
Jeez.
are higher than Roschon Johnson can jump. Like, it doesn't it doesn't make sense. The problem is he has not had a ton of production. He's a complete projection from, like, just skills and, like, athleticism. Because he was at Penn State never even saw the field really until he transferred to Old Dominion, which is a tiny, tiny little school. And then he had like okay, like pretty good production. It wasn't even crazy, 692 yards and 5 touchdowns. So it's not crazy, but man, I bet there are some teams just licking their chops at a chance to maybe put this guy in their offense because a 6'7" guy that can move like that could be dangerous. There's a decent amount of like highlight film on him. I mean, he just looks like a big body tight end that can move. And if he falls in the right team, this is a guy that could be shooting up draft boards, fantasy draft boards for sure.
Nice. Yeah, we need this tight end class is real deep, and it's nice the guys just keep popping up. So, one guy who we all knew about before the combine was Jahmyr Gibbs, and I gotta say, I think he flashed really hot, and he justified the hype. So kind of silence the haters. I guess that's a stock up for me. But yeah, from workouts alone, I mean, he set the stage by staying true to that 200-pound estimated weight, and then he followed it up by running a 4.36 40, which is the second fastest among the running back group. So lightning fast, and he's 199. Come on, guys, I'm gonna call it 200. Don't yell at me. But yeah, besides that, he didn't really do a lot on the measured performance stuff. But what he did on the field was look like smooth as hell, man. He went out there and he was catching balls, just looking solid and very talented. So I'm going to keep all my deep cuts for the classic rookie madness bracket we got coming up.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. A lot of people are comping him to Alvin Kamara, but I think I think he has a chance to be like his own kind of back. I think he's got a diverse skill set, and he's ready to kick some ass. And I think he's locking in number 2 in the running back rankings in this class for me.
I think he probably has for me too. Not that Charbonnet had a bad combine at all, but it was just like it was good, but it just wasn't like crazy good. I think Gibbs probably. I haven't done all my rankings and stuff again, but like he probably is in there. I'm with you. He looked great and smooth, just smooth on all those drills where he's running over the pads with the ball and just making cuts. Oof, yeah, he looks great, man. I'm excited about him.
Great footwork.
Oh yeah, big time. Let's cut to the receiver room. Not the best receiver class, in my opinion. 2 guys I was interested in after the combine. Start with Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati. He's 5'10", 177 pounds, so he's another small guy. There's a lot of small guys in this draft class, which is not my favorite, but a 4.4 440, 39.5-inch vert, 11 foot at 1-inch broad jump, puts him in the 95th percentile for burst. Pretty good production last year, 899 yards and 9 touchdowns. You can see the burst on the screen. He shoots off the line of scrimmage. He has a lot of home run ability. It's just gonna be it's that size thing again. Like he's gonna have to break into that like T.Y. Hilton type mold, that deep threat that can get a little bit more done. But I do think he's interesting, and I think he's probably moving up boards a little bit, like a 3rd, 4th round pick. I think it'd be really interesting, maybe reunite him with Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. They could use some speed, and they wouldn't have to spend like a crazy pick on him, like a crazy high pick on him. But yeah, I like him. He's not going to be like breaking down doors or breaking into the top 10 of my wide receivers maybe or anything like that. But like, I do like him, and I'm intrigued to see where he lands.
Yeah, he's definitely another guy that just kind of jumped on the scene and is making a name for himself. So I'm excited about it as well. But a guy that definitely isn't breaking into anyone's top 10 rankings. In fact, he didn't even make our rookie bracket, is Bryce Ford Wheaton. So this guy out of West Virginia is not a small wide receiver. He is 6'4", 221 pounds, which is why it was so impressive when he came out and hit top 5 not only in height and weight, but also in vert, 20-yard shuttle, and 40 time. So that's pretty awesome to be big and fast. He ran a 4.38, which is like, shit, man. You kidding me? It was blazing. It was fun to watch. But yeah, since he didn't make the bracket, I'm going to do a little more of a preview, a little more of a profile for him. But he's a little older. He's 23 years old. He was really smooth through the drills as well. But the college production is probably what's hampering his stock right now. With West Virginia, he topped out last year with 675 yards on 62 catches with 7 touchdowns, and it was a 56% catch rate. So maybe the QB play wasn't lending itself to being high end, but I think he's just one of those guys that turn heads no matter what. Like, people are going to be talking about him, and I think people are going to take a chance on a big bodied wide receiver that's that athletic. So, 6th, 7th round, if you see the name come up in somewhere where, like Arizona or something, where they could use someone, if Hopkins gets traded or whatever, you could see one of those guys come out of nowhere and make a bit of a name for themselves in the NFL. So that's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah,
Immature baby. Yeah, being that big and that fast is gonna put you on a lot of people's radar, regardless. Especially in this class, a lot of small guys in this class, which is actually gonna help the last guy I'm gonna talk about today, Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. I know we've talked about him a few times on the podcast. He's one of the guys you like. 6'3", 213 pounds, ran a 4.54, so like not the best 40 time. But he had a pretty good burst score, 79th percentile, so that's still good for him. And I really do think being in a draft class with so many small guys is going to benefit him a lot. I think he's a big target. He can move really well. Like, obviously he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he can move, and he uses his like bigger presence to kind of make he uses his physicality, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to make catches and high point balls, and he'll definitely bring that sort of dimension to whatever offense he comes in the NFL. He's a little small for that role to like really, for me to really be like, oh yeah, he's gonna dominate in the NFL the same way he did in college, because like 213 is not really the dominator, but he still could because he's good at it. I think he's going to be a great number 2 at a bare minimum. Like, I think he has potential to do better. And I do think, like, despite the, like, not eye-watering numbers, I think he turned a lot of heads at the combine, because he just has that combination of size and ability that I think NFL teams are going to like.
Man, yeah. And look at the 2021 tape, guys. He was injured last year. That 2021, he was killing it. Look at the Music City Bowl versus Purdue. That shit was unreal. That was amazing. Yeah, Cedric Tillman for life. All these guys and more, except for you, Ford Wheaton, will be discussed coming up. Man, we've got our March Rookie Madness bracket coming out. This is the 3rd year running. So tune in on Sunday. We're going to do a bracket reveal and let you guys know who got seated where. And that's going to set the stage for the coming weeks when we're getting into deep profiles, head-to-head comparisons on some of these guys. So, yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast, man. It's awesome. Something we look forward to every year. So,
yeah, best time of the year.
If you guys watch on Sunday, you can fill your bracket out ahead of us, and then you can put in the comments where you agree or disagree. It could be a lot of fun.
You should do that. That'd be fun.
Just know you're wrong and we're right, though.
That's right. You're not gurus to use.
You're bad, and you should feel bad.
That's right. Your comments are deletable. No, I don't know if that's true or not.
I would assume, but I don't know either. That's an AJ question.
Yeah. We love any comments, good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah, we won't respond to them, but we appreciate them.
I check them, but that's,
All right, we're rambling.
I was gonna say, how long are we planning on dragging this one out? I got more stuff we can do.
No. I feel like it was a good ending, and then I just kept going. But AJ does this thing where he just plays the outro music over us talking anyway.
That is true.
Yeah.
So
It's
you gotta
nice.
give him something to do that over.
It's a nice transition from voices to not listening anymore. You get that music outro, and the intro. It's good. I like it. Good work, AJ. Thanks for
And we're
sharing.
still under 30 minutes for this episode.
Dude, see, what are we even worried
So
about?
you gotta don't give a mouse a cookie over there. This needs to
Now
go
it's already been
33
too long.
top.
I'm gonna really play a lot of music.
Yeah. We'll play the whole Sluts album.
Dude, just play
Put
it,
likes
yeah.
in there, man. Drop the new single, dude.
All right. Later.
Peace.
Bye.